when we had the opportunity to bring, it took a little convincing, but I convinced Chelsea and Joe that we needed them here and we needed them to jump in on this because it's great to have this talk. It's great to have the school involved in this talk. It's great to have Dominion Energy involved in this talk. But when we're talking about what the economy runs on in Virginia in the next decade to 2 decades, what our energy system looks like in Virginia in the next decade, 2 decades, you can't do it without the state's help. And so we have Chelsea and Joe here. You're both deputy directors of the Commerce Department. So 2 people who are working very much both on the energy side and the entrepreneurship side. And I assume that everyone in this room has read the governor's energy plan. That's probably more than most rooms that you get to sit in. I have too.
How many people knew that we had an energy plan? Okay, a few more hands.
That's pretty good.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So do you want to jump in and sort of?
Yeah, I'm happy to kind of talk about the process that we went through. First of all, I think that we should print this out and put a big banner in front of the General Assembly building. First of all, I'm so excited to be here. I am so grateful for all of the incredible work you all do every single day. And I think that we need to fill a stadium in the future of like-minded individuals. When I came to work for the governor about 10 months ago, I always joke that I drew the short straw in the office and ended up with the energy plan, which it actually has been such an incredible experience. And anyone that's been around the governor knows that he never stops. I don't think he ever sleeps. And he's incredibly data-driven. He connects dots faster than anyone I've ever met. And he said he wanted to develop a data-driven plan that was transparent, that an 8th grader could read, and that included all of the perspectives across the Commonwealth. He wanted, and so as you can imagine, we had a short amount of time to do that. And there are a lot of opinions about energy. All of you know that as well. And there's also a lot of misinformation out there. It's a complex topic, especially when you throw in utility regulation and rate making and then all of the different kinds of energy. So we had about 3,000 different interactions, meetings, comment letters, and what we found over the course of several months is that there were 5 themes that emerged, and those became our guiding principles. And so the energy plan was developed based on these 5 guiding principles, which are reliability, affordability, environmental stewardship, innovation, and competition or choice. And based on all the comments and the conversations we had across the entire state, pretty much everything we heard fit into those 5 buckets. And so that's kind of how we developed the plan. The other thing that we realized is that oftentimes in the past, the plan was developed and kind of posted on the internet and everyone moved on. And it wasn't necessarily used as a working guiding document to implement change. And there also wasn't a lot of data in the plans of the past. And so that was again, a big goal of the governor's. And so we had to actually develop pretty much all of the data sets from scratch. They didn't exist, which is pretty amazing to me that there were really important decisions being made about energy policy in Richmond that weren't necessarily informed by data. And so we began kind of just asking hard questions and mapping out what does it look like in the future in terms of grid reliability. Can we deliver the energy that companies are contracted to have today? Mm-hmm. Are rates going to rise when you look at residential, industrial, commercial classes? How do we compete with other states in these categories? Is this hindering our ability to grow and attract businesses? And so also, how can consumers choose the energy sources that they want? Mm-hmm. Can they go out and can companies compete against one another? And so that's a lot of the questions that we ask. And we didn't have enough time to do everything we wanted to do. We heard a lot of from a lot of folks about what we left out, but the goal is to create a basic foundational document, create the processes, and then continue to build on it. So we call it a living document, and it truly is. And since we published it in October, we've still continued to work, and we're developing an energy systems model, which is so exciting for me. And the goal of this is to modernize it to a point where we can literally look at different policy scenarios and look at what the impact is, whether that's environmental cost, social cost, actual cost. Does it, when you look at energy poverty in certain areas, are the rural areas going to be impacted disproportionately, things like that. So we really want to keep focusing on the data piece, which continues to change, but then we want to look at this annually and continue to update our policy recommendations based on technology breakthroughs, based on funding opportunities, based on constraints or other things that we see. And so we've also reorganized the energy office here to focus on this. We have an office of research we've created, an office of energy innovation we've created, and we started also coordinating with all the other agencies that fund energy-related initiatives. And amazingly, probably not to all of you, they all weren't talking and they were all tracking results differently. And so now we're trying to get the whole team, all of government, coordinated better and more focused so that we can leverage what we're doing to attract private investment dollars, which is what Joe's doing, as well as more federal investment dollars. And, in a year, it may not seem like a lot on paper, but it's really, truly incredible what the team has done, knowing where we started. And we still have a ton of work to do. Virginia has become a lot less competitive than we were a decade ago. We know that. Rates have risen much faster than other states. It's disproportionately impacting certain communities. And that's why we need your brains. We need the brain trust, and we need to have more of you come. So call all of your friends in other states and convince them to move to Virginia, because this is the best state to live. We want to support all the great things that you're doing, and what's working, we want to amplify and do more of it. And that feeds into all the amazing work that Joe has done. He's a genius. I don't even understand most of what he says. I black out when he starts talking, but it's great. He came to us and really gave me back a few precious hours of sleep. But he's working a lot on the entrepreneur ecosystem side too.
And like you said, one of those 5 pillars is innovation. So Joe, this is what we're here for. We're innovation and the ecosystem entrepreneurship interconnect. So tell us a couple things we ought to know about that.
Yeah, as you said, entrepreneurship and innovation is one of the 6 pillars of the governor's economic strategy. We all realize that's where breakthroughs come from. That's where advances of technology and innovation and for society, everyone benefits from those things, right? And so that's a key pillar. Luckily, the governor comes from a business background as an investor. Secretary Karen Merrick, Secretary of Commerce and Trade, is a founder, an entrepreneur, an investor herself. I come from a private equity background. So fortunately, there's some people here that have been in your shoes, have sat on that side of the table, understand the customer that we are trying to serve and help support. And I think the mental model that we are sort of using is there are really three key engines of sort of these entrepreneurial ecosystems. One is the startups, so the founders and the entrepreneurs and the startup companies, the human capital. The second one is the investment capital, the financial, the investors that need to be at the table. And then the third is the innovation, the R&D, the commercialization, and the IP. And that ties a lot to the university system as well. Now, the bedrock beneath those three is sort of this ecosystem of enablers. So that includes large corporations like Dominion Energy. That includes universities like VCU. That includes the enablers like accelerators and incubators like the Innovation Center. That includes small companies. That includes the government side. And it also includes, I'd say, some of the media and the marketing And I think there's actually a lot of great things that are happening in Virginia across the Commonwealth, and not everyone always hears about them or sees them. And so I think one realization we've had is we need to put more of a spotlight on it, shine more of a spotlight on it, market it better, get the word out, get the message out, and elevate that so that people, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an investor, and whether you're here within the state or whether you're outside the state, hear about it and want to be here to do business.
That's fantastic. We got on time. So I thank you both for that. I really appreciate it. So, and I hope this sort of helps as another filter, right? So as you're thinking about this over the next day, realize one, first of all, there is an energy plan. It is a long read, but it is really important to actually read and understand this sort of like base that you're building, right? This is sort of the base of how we want to move forward as a state. And then additionally, as Joe's talking about, right, there's this whole other ecosystem that, well, you're being a part of it right now, actually, technically. You're being a part of the ecosystem by being here. And we just need to keep doing that and keep building it.
Yep, 100%.
So thank you both for joining us. And I guess we'll keep moving along.